Hello, everyone, and welcome to another edition of Have You Heard? Well, today's Friday, which means it's Yes Friday, and by process of elimination, we have reached Going for the One. Now then, you'll see in the title, of course, that I've chosen Parallels for today. Um, but it was a tough decision. I was so tempted to play either Turn of the Century or even Awaken. Um, but then I listened to the album last night and I did a bit of research and I looked at all the reaction channels on YouTube because that is kind of like the theme of our channel. And I was really quite shocked. Parallels has at least half the number of reactions that all the other songs on the album do. I mean, I was quite expecting Awaken to be miles ahead of everything else, and then Turn of the Century, and then probably Wondrous Stories. But they're all between 20 and 22 reactions purely to those songs. And Parallels is half of that. And I was quite surprised. And after listening to the album again, I was more than happy to go with Parallels. It's slightly different to the other songs, and that's, I think, purely because it's written solely by Chris Squire. And from reading up, it sounds like it was a strong idea that he'd taken into the studio for his solo album. But that, but I don't think it wasn't good enough. It was just that he didn't need it on the solo album, and he kept it in the back of his mind. And so when the guys got together to start talking about Going for the One, and the kind of ethos of the album, which is very much inspired by everything that's going on around it at the moment, but in a very Yes way. So it's not punk, of course, but it's more back to basics. And there's lots of interesting stuff around interviews that were made, that were given at the time, that lends the idea that they wanted to get back as a collective. The Patrick Moraz thing hadn't really worked out, and Rick was encouraged to come back and rejoin. And of course, Rick did famously say, I wasn't really thinking about it, but then I started hearing that the guys were writing songs again, and that inspired me to come back. And I think this is very much a song. So let's have a listen to Parallels first of all, and then we can talk about it a bit afterwards and dig into some of the nuts and bolts. Okay, so let's put on the trusty headphones. I'm looking forward to this. So here we go. Parallels from Going for the One, released in July 1977, reached number 1 in the UK, and this is track 3. Track 2, track 3. What am I talking about? Track 3, Parallels. Listen to that bass.
When you try the most
just had my head down and rocking away there. um, a thought a thought came to me just as I was listening there, that there really are just playing rock and roll really there, and I was thinking that this was probably the first time they were playing a song like this, with such a regular rock groove, if you like, since the first time since I've Seen All Good People off the Yes album, I think. I might be wrong, and please tell me if I'm wrong. But that's the feeling that I got just now. Yeah, this was going for the one. And of course, here is the wonderful object that is the album, and we still don't know whose backside that is, do we? I don't think it's John's. Eh? No. The story has it that Roger Dean showed John his ideas for the album cover, and John was a little bit and because of the lack of interest from John, Roger didn't bother to show any of the other guys. And so everybody thought that Roger wasn't particularly keen, and they went to Hipgnosis, to Storm Thorgerson and his buddy, and so Hipgnosis came up with the Bare Backside album cover. Really good. What I like about Parallels is that it is very much more back to basics, and indeed, Chris, I've read up again that Chris said that Alan himself and Steve were in the Mountain Studios in Montreux, Switzerland, and Rick was a few miles down the road at St Martin's Church in Vevey, at the church organ there, and they were linked just by a telephone line, and Alan counted them in and they played the basic track live. It took them only 3 takes, and that was it. And you've got that feeling of spontaneity and live playing, haven't you? Really, really good. And as I say, really kind of in tune with the world as it was in 1977. In the UK, of course, punk were taking over the world. Johnny Rotten was singing about God Save the Queen in his own ironic way. But meanwhile, no punk albums got to #1 in the charts, but this fellow did. And here's the CD version, just to show off that I've got 2 copies. This was the version that we played on Spotify, the 2003 remaster. And of course, Pink Floyd were coming out with Animals at around the same time. And of course, there's the famous story of their publicity stunt with the inflatable pig that flew away over Battersea Power Station. Yeah, those were the days. So there we are. It's Parallels, and I wonder which track you thought I would play. There was a temptation to play Awaken, and we will do that again in the future. And listening to it again last night, it makes me very emotional, that song. But the whole album makes me emotional, quite frankly. In July 1977, I was 18 months into my stay in South Africa, and I had just been transferred to a little old town 3 miles away from the coast in KwaZulu-Natal called Ladysmith, it's in the foothills of the Drakensberg Mountains and famous for the siege of Ladysmith. Any people interested in the history of Britain will know about the Boer War that Britain fought with the South African settlers, the Boers. In 1899, the Boers tried to take Ladysmith, and there was a settlement there, and the British forces for about 3 months kept them at bay. Kind of like a famous win in those sort of historical battles. But Ladysmith in July is very cold, and I wasn't prepared for that in Africa. I thought it was warm and humid all the time, and so I was trying to get used to a different part of the world again, and this album came out 3 years after Relayer. And of course, 3 years in those days, 3 years was a lifetime. And what a relief to get it and to play it every night when I got home from work. Um, I never got sick of it either. So anyway, that's my little memory of going for the one. What are your memories? And please let me know in the comments below. You know I enjoy reading the comments and I respond to many, many of them. If you like the video, please click the thumbs up and subscribe. That would be lovely. Our subscriptions continue to grow, so um, that would be much appreciated if you kept that going. And we shall see you on the next video, which will be tomorrow. So that's it for now, and until then, bye everybody.